everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's class, we are going to do part 4 of diversity in living organism and we are going to deal with biological classification. Let's begin. Introduction to biological classification. Diversity in living organism. We see lots of diversity. That means 7 million of species we have found, right? Out of those 7 million of species, overall, 1.25 millions are animal species. These living organisms shows lots of variety in what? In their structure as well as in their function. Now, diversity again we are going to see in their structure, in their habits, habitat, mode of life, nutrition, reproduction. In all these things, they are going to be variations. Different organisms are present. So, obviously, when the organism is different, so mode of life could be different, habitat could be different, structure can be different, reproduction can be different, mode of reproduction can be different, nutrition can be different, right? So all these things we are going to study. How do we study all these things? Is it possible for us to study these many species? No, it is way too impossible until and unless we classify it. Now, how do we do classification? We have seen in the previous class. In today's class, we are going to deal with the systematic classification. What is the requirement? Why it is required to go with the systematic classification? Because it is easy for us to understand the interrelationship among the variety of animal group, and systematic classification helps us to organize and categorize the vast diversity, right? So we have variety of animals. These variety of animals are going to be organized and categorized in such a way that it will be easy for us to able to understand. How do we do that? We do it by using systematic classification. Okay. Now, history of biological classification. Carl Linnaeus is the father of taxonomy. He is also the founder of modern systematic. Now, in previous class, we also study about the taxonomy. That taxonomy was nothing but your classical or basic taxonomy. Basic taxonomy, we study about the 4 pillars or process. What were the 4 pillars or process? Characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification, right? Characterization and classification, right? These are the 4 process or pillars of classification. Now, Carl Linnaeus introduced hierarchical classification system and he introduced modern systematic. When I use modern, so obviously it is going to be more advanced than the classical one. So how it is advanced than the classical one? Let's see. So this also have 4 pillars. These are the 4 pillars. But this classification, see, classical taxonomy is based mostly on the morphological classification. We see only morphologically, right? But when we talk about the modern taxonomy, it is nothing but classical taxonomy, that is morphology, along with the anatomy. Anatomy means what? Write it in the chat box and tell me. We have already studied this, right? Then cell structure, ontogeny and ecology. Ecology is nothing but when we deal about the ecosystem, right? Then what is ontogeny? This is the new word you have studied. Now see class, zygote is there. From zygote, cleavage occurs and embryo forms. From embryo, the organism will form. Just imagine that, let me keep the name of this. Maybe I can keep what should I write? Pinky, chalo, theek hai. Okay, this organism name is Pinky. Now, Pinky, suddenly she started sneezing and she was not able to stop that, right? So, she went to the doctor and she said, I'm unable to stop sneezing. I don't know why continuously I am sneezing again and again, right? Doctor will ask, is this the first time happening with you or that had happened before also? So doctor is asking only about the Pinky life history. Okay, doctor is not asking about Pinky's father or mother or grandmother, paternal father, nothing. Doctor is only asking about the Pinky. That means only particular living organism, right? So Pinky will say, yes, I had it before also when I went out in the garden. So immediately doctor will recognize, okay, probably it's an allergy, maybe it's a dust allergy or the pollen allergy, right? So doctor will do more examination and prescribe medicine, right? So how that had happened? By knowing the life history of organism or developmental history. When I say developmental history, it is nothing but from birth till now, whatever is happening, it is because of the developmental, right? So ontogeny is nothing but when we deal about the life history. Now, developments in 19th and 20th century. So, we have numerical taxonomy. Numerical is nothing but when we deal about the mathematical method to classify the organism. How do we classify? By finding the similarity between the species. So, if the similarities, more similarities are there, we are going to put in particular categories, right? Now, phylogeny, this is the another word. So, one word we study, that is ontogeny, and the another one is phylogeny. Phylogeny is nothing but, class, we deal with the evolutionary relationship. Evolution means, it is a gradual process from species one, it is going to convert into another species gradually, not on the spot, right? So evolution is there. Simple example, if I want to give you Monera, you will study this in your biological classification. Monera is going to evolve into Protista. Protista is going to evolve into fungi. Protista is going to evolve into plant, and Protista is going to evolve into animal. So can I say Protista is having characteristics of fungi, characteristics of plant, characteristics of animal? So those Protista who has characteristics of animal has evolved under animal. Those Protista who has characteristics of plant evolve into plant. Those Protista who have characteristics of fungi evolve into fungi, right? So this is the evolutionary and this is the evolutionary relationship. How Monera is related to Protista, Protista is related to fungi, plants and animals, right? So this we call it as evolutionary relationship. We have common ancestor. I can find Monera is the common ancestor for the particular organism. For example, Protista, fungi, plants and animals. Now I have a question for you, class. Tell me, write it in the chat box and tell me, is plant is more related to Protista or more related to Monera? Right? Now, evolutionary basis. Again, we are going to deal with the phylogenetic. How do we study? First is evolutionary relationship we have studied, and we have a common ancestor. Here you can see common ancestor is present, right? How do we study this? We have a phylogenetic tree. We have a phylogenetic tree. So here if you see this diagram, this is nothing but it is represented as a, this here you can see, class. Here, let me erase all. Here you can see this is your phylogenetic tree. This is your phylogenetic tree. How from, I think, protist, it is showing protist, fungi, then sponge and all these things are evolved. This is nothing but your evolutionary relationship. It is showing through tree. Okay, through tree. Which tree? Phylogenetic tree. Which tree? Phylogenetic tree. So this classification focus on evolutionary. What is phylogenetic, class? Then phylogenetic is nothing but which shows evolutionary relationship, which has common ancestor and which has common gene. Okay, 3 points we have written, and the fourth point is Ernst Haeckel has given phylogenetic tree. In the phylogenetic tree, we see genetic distance. Okay, so here if you see this, suppose if I'm talking about protist to sponge, okay, so this distance I'm not going to measure. Can I measure it? Acha, this is in centimeter, 11 centimeters, so this is 11 genetic distance is present. No, class. When I speak about the genetic distance, that means in protist and sponge, what are the differences between them? Okay, at the genetic level we call it as genetic distance, right? So Ernst Haeckel contribution introduced the method for representing, class. It is easy for me to say Monera to Protista, Protista to fungi, plants and animals, but how do we represent it? Represent through phylogenetic tree, right? That is the branching diagram. We call it as phylogenetic tree, and it is going to show evolutionary relationship. And what are the branches indicating? Branches indicate genetic distance. What is genetic distance? Genetic distance is difference among the species, right? Now, under phylogenetics, you have two classes. Acha, phylogenetics is also called as cladiastic. Phylogenetics, two classes, two characters you will be able to see in your textbook. They have given, that is analogous character and homologous character. When I use word homologous, let's start with homologous. Homo means same. So let me write it over here. Homo and ana. Okay, homo and ana. Homo means same. When I say same, what is the first thing which comes into my mind? What is the first thing which I can see in the organism? That is structure. Same structure. Back in the mind, you have to understand, class, ki structure can be different also. But in the definition, it is going to be written like this. You have to memorize it. Same structure, different function. Then what is analogous? Analogous is different structure, opposite of homologous, and same function. So organism which has same structure but perform different function, we call it as homologous organism. Organisms who have different structure but perform same function, we call it as analogous organism. When I say same structure means class, origin is same, ancestor is same. Okay, so we have same origin and same ancestor when we talk about homologous, because structure is same. Structure means it is formed from the protein. Protein we get it from the gene. So that means genes are same in all these organisms. When we talk about the analogous, analogous means nothing but origin and ancestor is different. Very important topic with respect to the NEET as well as with respect to your class test, right? So ancestor as well, same ancestor and different ancestor, right? Now another point if I want to mention over here, which is very important, homo and analogous, which is given, and it's always every year in NEET this question is asked. Homologous is divergent or convergent. Homologous is divergent, analogous is convergent. How do I remember this class? Homologous HD and AC. A for analogous, C for AC. AC means you are sitting and watching HD TV. H for homologous, D for divergent. Now what is the meaning of divergent and convergent? Diverge means moving in different directions. So this is an area where you have same species. Suppose I'm talking about Darwin finches. Lots of seeds are present over here. Okay, so finches are eating. But there will be a point where I think erase all is there. Okay, fine, let it be. Okay, there will be a point where seeds will start, finishing it up. Okay, you won't be having enough amount of seed. So what will happen? Finches will start moving in a different direction, divergent. You have divergent, like this. Divergent you have while driving. It is in different direction, different direction. So species will start moving in a different direction. Ancestor is common, right? From here it has started. Ancestor is common, but they move into different direction and form species 1, species 2, species 3, species 4. They have ultimately formed another new species. What about the convergent? Convergent is nothing but from different places, S1, S2, S3, S4. From different places, all these species will come to a similar habitat. Okay, from different places all the species will come to the similar habitat, so we call it as convergent. This arrow is important, class. I'm making this outside, that means divergent. Making this inside, that means convergent. Okay, so all the species will come to the similar habitat. But are these species from the similar ancestor? No, they all are coming from different ancestor, but coming at one point. Okay, maybe their food is more, so they all are coming from different direction and they are trying to settle down over here. So this kind of this kind we call it as convergent, and this is going to show the divergent evolution and analogous is going to show the convergent evolution, right? I hope this is clear to you people. So what did I tell you? Homologous is nothing but common ancestor is there. Divergent evolution, every year in NEET it is asked, class. Wings of sparrow and wings of finches, you can see here. So they have similar structure, function is also different, same, but ancestor is same. That's why we call it as homologous character. Okay, here obviously functions different, or generally the definition of homologous character is the function is going to be different. Here the function is flying as well as it has other function also, for example seed dispersal. Okay, now what is analogous? Analogous means different structure and same function. Shared convergent evolution, I have not written. Different structure and same function, we call it as analogous character. For example, here you can see the wings of sparrow and wings of pettigia, that is flying squirrel. Okay, flying squirrel wings it used for flying, and wings of bird also used for flight, right? Both wings are used for flight, but when you see the structure, wings of flying squirrel is different from the wings of bird, right? This we call it as analogous character. So that's all we have in today's class. Thank you.